What is contemporary jazz? Don't be bashful. You play it.
Well, when we were all kids and we were growing up listening to the masters, the Miles Davises and the John Coltrane's, and including yourself, Ramsey, we all started to sort of, well, how can we find a way to keep the story going? So we started to add rhythms, contemporary rhythms, rock rhythms, R&B rhythms, pop melodies, along with the jazz harmonies.
Mm-hmm.
For me, contemporary jazz is just the newer jazz musicians trying to still keep that connection. You know, use tunes from the pop world and then show people how you can develop them and, you know, make it a little different.
You know, you can go and hear acid jazz and a funkier jazz, and you can go back and hear the old fusion stuff and the new fusion stuff, and there's a lot of young musicians that are trying to break out and find new ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was important to play with Miles Davis, to play with Cannonball Adderley, to play with Nancy Wilson, to play with Joe Williams, whoever, you know, to learn the skills directly from them and not just from listening to a record.
In New York, when I came up, there was a club every 2 blocks.
Right.
And I would go from one club to the other club. One was a funk club, the other was a straight-ahead jazz club where guys used to play with Charlie Parker, you know. And if you sat in with them, you had to come with it, you know.
You had to do it.
And
Right.
if you played with the funk group, you had to come with it on that side too.
Absolutely.
So what happens is that we were combining the best of both worlds.
And that's part of the thing that's gone out of it now in terms of jazz is the exploration part of it. You know, combining it and making it your own. You know, and that's it's kind of become very conservative now.
You were never conservative. How did you start playing?
I started playing in the church, you know, and gospel music, and that's where I got my start, listening to Les McCann and you know, because you had that funk in what you were playing, but you had that other stuff as well. And so I like Marcus said, I like musicians that kind of had a larger scope.
Influences like Miles Davis, maybe?
Absolutely. Actually, I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I took a bus to the record store, and I asked the guy, I said, look, I want some jazz. So I went back there and I was thumbing through the CDs, the records, the albums, and I came up on this cover. It was this dark cover, sort of foreboding, with this guy with this trumpet in his mouth. I said, this must be it. It said Miles Davis Kind of Blue. I took it, paid for it, got back on the bus, went home on my little Victrola, and played that rascal, and it changed my life. I said, my God, I never heard music like that,
My
ever.
goodness.
Man.
When did you start playing electronic instruments?
I joined the Don Ellis Big Band, and he had a Fender Rhodes sitting
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And it's hard music. And I said, what is that? He said, that's a Fender Rhodes. I said, I play the piano. I'm a jazz musician. But eventually I got with Frank Zappa, and he said, oh no, you know, you gotta sing, you're gonna play synthesizers.
So you hadn't sang before when you joined Frank Zappa?
No, Frank said you got to sing, because you're the only one sitting down doing nothing.
That's
Like
how-
I was doing nothing.
Well, this show's about talking, and this show's about playing, and I think it's about time we do some playing. You're number
All right.
one. What do you want to play for us?
Well, I thought, since we're talking about contemporary jazz, one part of it that meant a lot to me was that soulful, funky kind of thing. And so I decided to represent that with a tune called It's On, which is from my After Hours record.
It's on.
It's on.
It's on. It's on.